How was the Halo Infinite flight test? I thought I'd reach out to you, the community, for me to kind of have some bullet points to go over. These are all questions that people here thought of that I'm going to address with my overall thoughts kind of sprinkled in at the end. Let's begin. So hey, it's Samurai Kibiji, in which I like to build game hype with you every week. So subscribe if you've been here before, like Halo games and shenanigans. First question I want to kick this off with is,
how was the overall performance on Series X? Did you experience 4K, 120 frames per second? How much space do you feel the game will take? Thanks.
Thank you for submitting the question. First off, the game storage-wise, the flight was, I think, 18 gigabytes on my Series X, and for my friend that had an Xbox One, it was like 10 gigabytes. So take that what you will. I would imagine the final game will be like 9 or 10 times the size of that. I wanted to start with this one though, because the overall performance on my Series X, I legitimately was shocked when I put this on my LG C10 TV, run it through my Series X. I didn't record my reaction because I wanted to just see this and bask in its glory for the first time. And my gosh, I was so impressed with how good this game looked. And it just is clean. It's a tech preview, and they said this is more done than an alpha, not quite a beta, but it just still looks really freaking good and makes me completely forget about the July days. I am confident it was 4K on my TV, easily 60 frames, that's for sure. 120, I never noticed 120 personally, but it was definitely running like native 4K, 60 frames at the least. It could have been 120 and I just didn't notice it. The lighting, the colors, whoever did the color grading in this game, nice job. The studio that handles the lighting in this game did so good. And I didn't run into any choppiness ever. Like maybe a loading transition that got choppy for a moment, but whenever it happened, it was just for a moment when something was loading in. But it was so rare that I barely even want to bring it up.
How did the flow of combat feel?
There's something about Halo Infinite that feels right. It just feels super smooth and sharp and clean. I always told people Halo 5 I thought felt really just like everything's accurate, efficient, and just kind of felt too pinpoint accurate for my personal taste. And Halo Infinite still is that, but there's this flow. There is a dance that it seems like players gotta do and can do. The moment you're under fire, you have to think quick, and that's why the bots really got wrecked this weekend, is because they didn't know how to do the dance. They didn't know what to do the second they get under fire. How do you get out of it? But actual players know what to do, and luckily there was a 2-hour time frame I got to play with players, and the dance was there. You get shot, if you got a grapple hook, just grapple away and do a loop-de-loop, or try to do like a little sprint to the side. Just do something to really mix things up, and throw a grenade maybe as you sprint away, throw it against the wall as you run away so it gives you time if there is a hallway. But the game does feel pretty fast-paced, but fast-paced done right. Halo Infinite slows it down while also adding mobility, like, you know, ledge hopping. There is sprinting, which we'll get to. I can't explain why, but something about the flow of Infinite just feels right. To me anyways. Like, this is all just my opinion.
How do you think the flow of combat, overall design, and the size of the maps are? Too small or just right? Good variety of different maps besides aesthetic?
You have to have good maps to do that flow of combat I was talking about before, and I was really happy with the maps in this. None of them, the key thing, none of them felt just symmetric. They didn't feel like they were just built for the competitive scene, at least to me. They each kind of had this place that they were at that, yes, they had the different aesthetic feel, but navigating them was interesting. Bazaar really tricked me out because there was like this vent that I found that you can go through, and it's just a little tunnel, and I'm like, I miss little stuff like that, like little hidden pathways that is in the map that, you know, you feel like, why is that there? Also, I killed a chicken and people kind of freaked out about that. Look at this, it's a chicken. Somebody please clip this, it's a chicken, can I kill it? And then the dam facility, you know, it was next to a dam, and it was another facility, which I don't want to see Halo Infinite have a lot of, but it still felt like, you know, it wasn't just all the same throughout this facility. It all felt like different rooms, different paths to take, and that's what I want in Halo. I want to have maps that have a little bit of a story to them, not all be facilities or bases of some kind, but to just feel not symmetrical. It is an actual place that is built and looks good. I don't know.
The sprint. They fixed it.
I don't want to say they fixed the sprint, personally to me, but I do somewhat like how sprint is in this game. It is now a mechanical choice you can do instead of being a means to just get somewhere fast or have the decision making of, if I sprint and my shields are down, is that going to be worth it? That's no longer a thing in Halo Infinite. Like, you could sprint and recharge your shields, and it's a lot less costly now, but there's also not as much purpose to it because the sprint is a lot slower than it once was. And it makes you question, like, is it really worth it to do? So I don't know. It was kind of like a trade-off of sorts. I think the thing that I like about sprint being toned down with its speed is that it keeps people on the ground more, kind of just walking around. I don't know. I never like seeing tons of people just sprinting around. I don't know. I don't know what I can say about that.
Grade and give your take on all the weapons used. Which were good and which need something.
That's a lot of weapons to go through, but just a few standouts, like assault rifle feels freaking great. Probably my favorite assault rifle that 343 have done. The battle rifle doesn't seem like it's as useful at close range to me personally. And that excites me personally because I'm not too into battle rifles being like the standard, like, oh, every Slayer game should be battle rifles. Like, not me. The commando is too pinpoint accurate for my taste. The pulse rifle is not usable for me. I get it. It is a weapon that you can like do more damage with if you make the hits, but it just functions so weird. I don't know. It's just a trade-off situation I'm not too into. The same goes for the gravity hammer. The gravity hammer now has a bigger hit radius, but it has an insanely slow startup that I'm like, I don't think it's worth it. The weapons feel a lot more lethal than I feel like they have ever been. But my favorites was hands down the Needler. The Needler is now a power weapon. This thing is deadly. It is the deadliest it has ever been. The Bulldog shotgun I was really impressed with how versatile it is. The Heat Wave is a really cool weapon in my opinion for like a team player that wants to pepper the enemy team while their teammate, finishes them off. And the Ravager, man, the Ravager is such a sick weapon. At first, I thought it was just going to be like a beefy potential like mini rocket launcher, but it's actually a lot more. And when you charge it, it sets fire to the ground. I had no idea that was a thing. And apparently the fire is actually going to damage people. That is sick, but we got to move on.
What's your opinion on the sound design? Not the music, but the sound effects, grenade, gun, equipment, etc.
I personally think it's great. Like, there isn't much sound designs in here that sounds iconic, like to make it just stand out and feel like this is a Halo thing. But the sound design they did is really, they have a whole Inside Infinite about this where they want to cut out a lot of the extra noise and just make it sharp. I really felt that in these weapon sound design and all the equipment. Like, everything is just really pow, 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 burst, like really quick burst. And I think that's what adds to the lethality of everything. So as a game, I think it's great. As Halo, I don't hear many iconic feeling sounds. Like, I'll recognize that from this game if I heard it, kind of a thing.
Everything looks great, but I don't like the fact that you can only see enemies on your radar when they sprint.
I think I noticed it, but I heard a lot of people talking about this, and if that's true, that is worrisome. I think that is legitimately a concern to me. The radar is the radar. If there is motion happening, you're going to have to see them coming. And for it to only be sprint, that's just a little bit alarming to me. Now, that could be because they want people to use a new ping system, which can be a really effective thing to do as a teammate. But it does seem like the radar really has shortened its range. And if that sprint thing is a thing, I'm a little bit worried about it too.
The outline system. Do you think they're necessary if we have waypoint icons over our teammates already?
So the outline system really made me nervous about Infinite because just red versus blue, that is Halo. Like, I feel like Halo is the thing that made red versus blue a thing. But I was actually really pleased with this outline system. I got used to it pretty quick and kind of just liked experimenting with it as well. So it's not that intrusive to me, but in regards to this question, necessary? No, but I feel like there is a way you can probably adjust it a bit because the options in this game are absolutely out of this world with the things you could customize in the settings. That is an entire other bit I would do where just the settings of this game. Seriously, just play with them. It is crazy the amount of stuff you can do. And there is that area where you could change the colors of the outlines, and I don't know if there's much more than that. But to answer the question, necessary? No. Do I like them? Sure.
What was something that disappointed you about the flight?
Probably the battle pass, but I feel like that's something I won't really get a grip on until the game's actually out, but they did let us try that. And I felt like things got a little bit too limited, but I just felt like the way you earn XP to level up in the battle pass and unlock gear, you could only do it through challenges instead of like Master Chief Collection where you just play games and then you level up. Maybe I was just misunderstanding it, but that's something that comes to mind. Actually, now I think of it, the bots are probably the number one thing. Bots is something I'm really looking forward to for Halo, and I really wanted to get challenged when they put on Spartan difficulty bots, but I was getting steak-taculars all weekend, which is when you win by over 20 points in Slayer. I don't know, man. I really wanted the bots to give me a bit more sweaty. Oh, and I wish we had a little bit more to kind of test the customization stuff with. That's probably another thing.
Do you think they found the balance between Bungie era and 343 Halo games for old fans and new players?
This game feels like Halo Reach done right to me, where it has a lot of elements of 3 mixed into the gameplay that sometimes does feel like Halo 5 still, and that might alarm some folks. But 343 has to, acknowledge the changes that they've made and the things that they've done, as well as the things that Bungie's done to make it Halo. And I do feel like this game has really crossed a lot of it together. And to be honest, new players are probably going to figure out a lot of things about the ingenuity of this sandbox to really kick old fans' butts. But I don't think I can answer this question very well until the full game is out, where we can see the campaign and the rest of the maps and just more kind of a feel for things. But for now, it really does. Like, this is truly the closest that 343 has come to feeling, I don't want to say like Halo, but you know what I mean. I have to insert one comment that nobody mentioned or asked about. The intro animations, probably my favorite part of this entire flight test. Like Halo 5 had something for when your team comes into play and it's like, oh, look at us. But in this game, you actually get the camera to like see each Spartan as they do their pose, and like it just adds a lot of character and feel to this is the team going into this battle. And yes, it might have a little bit of that competitive feel, but I don't care. I like it. It feels way more characterizing, and then the camera zooming out and then going into you, the player. I think it's sick. And also the music I was really pleasantly surprised with. It feels like a new Halo, if that makes sense. Like, it's got that touch of Halo, and it's not super busy either. Sometimes it felt a little bit like super duper different, but still had that little bit of a touch of old. Overall, I'm really pleased. As somebody that has loved Halo for many, many years, I want more. I want to see more maps. I want to see what Forge is like. I want to see how this integrates in the campaign. Like, there's so much that this flight got me and the Halo community buzzing about, and it's so awesome to see, and I was just happy with it. Did I mention this game looks great? Over here, you can find another video I did about Halo Infinite, and stay tuned because there's more content to come on things Halo, also Smash, and other things, gaming hype. So feel free to subscribe if you've been here before. Don't forget to be geek, proud, awesome. Catch you in the next one.